Okay, so this is our last official class. Looks like you've made it through theories, and you should have all of your grades up until the final paper at this point. So all of your discussion boards should be caught up with grading. Last exam should be graded. I graded my usual way. The first paragraph is to you personally, and the rest of the comments are general comments showing basically an outline of the exam and any helpful information. But if you have any questions, you can ask. We're going to go over the exam, or you can stay on or stay after class and I'll answer any questions. Everybody did well. Nobody has to rewrite their exam. So this is one of the first semesters that maybe only the second time since I've started this that nobody's had to rewrite an exam. So that's in either exam. So good job. All right. The other thing I posted was a sample exam answer, and it may be different than yours. They were written by other students, but I thought they were good. So I shared them anonymously just to give you an idea of what maybe somebody else wrote or a good example, of answers for the exam. They're not perfect, but I thought they were decent. Okay. So let me just share my screen here. All right. The other thing is if you haven't yet, the Dropbox for the final paper is under week 15. So if you need to submit your final paper, just go to content week 15 and you'll find the Dropbox for your final paper there. And I'll have them graded by the end of the weekend. We do have finals week, but everything is we've finished all the content that we need to, so there's no need to meet for finals week. We don't have a final exam. We've had multiple exams and discussion boards, and you're handing in your final paper today. So we will not be meeting next week for finals week. There's no final exam. However, if you do have any unfinished assignments, I will give you credit for them. So if you missed a week for a discussion board or something like that, get it done by Sunday night, and I'll read it and give you credit for it. So remember, we want you to be successful, want you to understand the content. That's the most important thing. So yeah, if you've missed one or two, try to finish them up. I think the vast majority were complete. There were just a few, especially the later ones, when I know you've had more assignments in other classes. Some of the later ones might have gotten ignored. Okay. The other thing is, I'd kind of just like to go over the exam and answer any questions you might have. And then I know some people watch the class as a recording, but if you're on Zoom or if you're here in person, in person, maybe you can share a little bit of what the theory you prefer in your final paper, and maybe if you're thinking about a population you'd like to use it with, or basically whatever you'd like to share from your final paper informally. Think about that just for a minute or two, and that'll be it for our final class. And I could also answer any questions about any of the theories or your final paper, or any questions you have. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the final, the last exam. And people were still having trouble with the notion of kind of past, present, future. Everybody got the future treatment plan right, but and everybody got the past right, but that keeping the session in the present and not needing to talk about the father seemed to be a little difficult. Some people did it fine, but I think that was kind of, and I didn't take any points off for it if you did that, but you know, trying to keep it in mind that if we can keep our sessions you know, in the present, focused on the client. Obviously, in the first couple sessions, we're going to have to do an intake. We're going to have to do an assessment. We're going to have to get a case history. But that's kind of what we assumed in part one of each question. And so after that, try to keep it as present as possible. Of course, sometimes the past will creep in to the present, and we might have to address it. But okay, so REBT, I gave kind of an outline in my feedback, but the basic outline is in part one, which is the case history. You can apply ABC to his past. So activating event would be some things that Sam's dad did, maybe the mom, that brought him to the point of fearing rejection and believing that he had to meet certain conditions in order to be accepted rather than accepted for who he truly is, unconditionally. The second part of the question, you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, but you can keep it current. So an activating event would have been in the present, perhaps something that happened at work that maybe was kind of like the last straw, and he was disillusioned and didn't like, that realized he wasn't finding any fulfillment in his current work. Or perhaps something happened in a potential relationship where he felt rejected and not accepted. Maybe he asked somebody out, they said no, and he had a lot of that triggered a lot of irrational thoughts and negative beliefs about himself, and possibly catastrophizing about reasons that this happened. And finally, future treatment. We get him to the point of believing that he can live a genuine life and pursue some of the things that would add meaning to his life, like a job that he would find fulfilling, perhaps in a museum or paleontology or something like that. Maybe we start out trying to volunteer at a museum and go back to school for some more education in that area, taking some risks, perhaps trying to meet a new group of friends, and perhaps a potential person for a relationship, and taking a risk in getting to know some more individuals, and eventually asking somebody out. Reevaluating how this process was going for the future weeks. If something didn't work out, or perhaps the irrational beliefs persisted or new ones arose, to debate those as well, and to come up with more positive self-talk to substitute for those negative beliefs. Maybe he was having trouble catching himself when he was entering into that negative belief cycle or negative self-talk, and practicing catching himself and substituting those positive beliefs and positive self-talk. All right, any questions about the REBT question? All right, the feminist question. Once again, we kind of examine in the case history some of the gender role messages that he received growing up, kind of the toxic masculinity that he received from his father, and some of the biased, more patriarchal messages about what it is to be a male, if that's how he identifies. So how did that happen? What were those messages? And then that brings us to the current session. And Sam no longer wants to follow those messages. All they're doing is causing negativity in his life and potential relationships, and his choice of a profession. And so we need to empower Sam to come up with positive messages for himself, ones that he agrees with, ones that he finds meaningful and fulfilling. And some of those messages would have to do with what it is to be a partner, an equal partner in a relationship, and how to find a potential relationship based on equality and mutual respect, and helping him to feel empowered and believe in himself as an individual, and that it's perfectly acceptable to pursue his dreams in whatever job he wants, possibly working in a museum. He would never be seen as less than because of it. And and then once we get him to that point and he comes up with these more positive messages, feels more positive about equality and his own role, then the future treatment plan would help him to pursue those messages and help them to come to a reality in both of those areas of his life. And we walk him through that process using encouragement and one of the other techniques that were listed in the notes, perhaps helping him find a support group or something like that. And what would that support group look like? That was probably the most straightforward one. It wasn't too complicated. I think most people did pretty well with that one. The last one was the most difficult question on family systems, and it is the one most people had problems with because a lot of people processed the family systems issue in a general manner, maybe talking about codependency or differentiation, rather than actually bringing up a couple of Bowen's key concepts in the past, in the case history, bringing up a couple to process in the present and to break those unhealthy cycles, and bringing up a couple that they would work on in future sessions. So, I think the biggest issue with that last question was going into detail with at least 6 of those key concepts, 2 in each section. There were 8 total key concepts that you could have used. All right, any questions about the exam? I think everybody did fine, even though I made some recommendations on how to improve. I think everybody got the main points and put forth a lot of effort in writing them. All right. So what I'd like to do now is I'm not going to record this part, but we're going to just take a few moments and share what you'd like about your final papers. Let me stop sharing.